That brings me to Brad Pitt's performance, and he's basically a caricature of a Southern soldier. And yeah, while he's an entertaining character, I'm really glad that he didn't get much screen time, because I'm sure that having to watch him for the full 2.5 hours, his character would start to grate a little bit. So I think it's a very wise decision by Tarantino to give him as little screen time as, well, not necessarily as possible, but a lot less screen time than he could have given him. He could have given him the whole movie. So yeah, I think that was a wise move by Tarantino. As I mentioned earlier, this film's one of the tensest films I've ever seen, and that really works to its advantage. And while people are going to no doubt go into this expecting an action movie based on what they saw on the trailer, the posters and everything, there is very little action in it. Most of it is build-up, and you get like 15-20 minute dialogue scenes that build up to a little bit of action, and the fact that they crank the tension up before the action makes it resonate more and makes it have a harder impact, which is much, much better, in my opinion. If I had to compare it to something, and I know that this is intentional by Tarantino, I'd compare it to the old Clint Eastwood, Sergio Leone westerns. The fact that they'd have a really big build-up and then the action would be over like that and you barely catch it. But it really works well because, like I said, when you have a long build-up and lots of tension, the action really resonates more and hits harder. So yeah, I thought the action in this film, what action there was brilliant. What I absolutely loved about this movie, and I'm sure a lot of people will probably hate, is the fact that maybe more than 75% of the film itself is spoken in either French or German. Not a lot of it at all is spoken in English. It's like Tarantino has snuck a foreign film into the general consciousness, which is brilliant of him, because it annoys me, like I said earlier, when you get war films where everybody speaks English, because that's just not how it was. And while I know Tarantino was never making a historically accurate movie, I'm so glad that he subtitled it, because it's so much better for it, in my opinion. And I mean, you still get the Tarantino dialogue, the absolutely brilliant dialogue, the monologues and everything, and the back and forths that are just brilliant between the characters, but it's all in a different language. And it's a testament to Tarantino's writing, because you still sense the humour and and also the darkness to his dialogue. Even though it's spoken in a different language, the actors really convey the Tarantino edge, if you will, because we all know he writes very distinctive dialogue, and you still get that sense despite the fact it's spoken in a foreign language. So that, like I said, is a testament to Tarantino's writing and just how brilliant he actually is. I'm sure that the climax of this movie, that takes place in a cinema, is going to go down in cinema history as one of the most awe-inspiring clusterfucks ever put on screen, right? I thought it was brilliant. It's violent, it's got everything you could possibly want, and the fact is, like, you get a build-up to it and you think, oh, any minute now it's going to kick off, but then you get about another 40 minutes of dialogue, and you're on the edge of your seat constantly. Jesus, you're about to fall off your seat, and then when the action comes, it does not disappoint. It's absolutely brilliant. I was saying earlier about how the tone of the film is quite inconsistent, and I'll give an example of that. It's split into 5 chapters, each of which could be a mini-movie on their own, but the first chapter, which takes place in the farmhouse, is just, really tightly done. It's essentially perfect. And then you get in like the second chapter, there's freeze frames and like exploitation titles across the screen, and Samuel Jackson narrates over some of it, and it just doesn't match the tone of the first one, and it's good. I like the fact that Tarantino's trying to do something a bit different, but I can't help but wonder whether or not the film would have been better if it just stuck to one style. And I don't know. I mean, that's really a matter of opinion. I'm not saying that, yes, this is detrimental to the movie. Saying, in my opinion, I can't help but wonder how different it would have been if Tarantino had just nailed a style and stuck to it. But Yeah, that's just one minor niggle as well. Overall, I thought this film was brilliant, and I'm no doubt going to see it again. I mean, it's my friend's birthday this week, so I'm going to take him to see it. So yeah, I will have seen it twice in a matter of days, and it shows how good it is, really, because it's not often you can do that with a movie. And I honestly think that Inglorious Basterds is one of those movies that on DVD is going to become a cult classic. You know, no doubt. It's gonna reward repeat viewings, and I'm sure people are going to enjoy it more and more every time they watched it. It's kind of like how Pulp Fiction grew to become the classic that it's known as today. I'm sure that Inglorious Basterds, while might not be that successful, is no doubt going to garner a cult status over the years as it's released on DVD and Blu-ray. I thought the actors were brilliant, especially the girl who plays the Jewish girl who escaped and wants revenge. I can't remember her name, but she's absolutely brilliant in it. But Brad Pitt's good, but he's very committed to the character. He gives a great performance in that sense, but the character himself is a little irritating to me, at least. I think Eli Roth is the surprise of the film, but no doubt the best actor in the film who deserves an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor, in my opinion, is Christoph Waltz as Colonel Hans Lander. I think he really takes what could have been a cliched antagonist and turned him into one that's no doubt going to be mentioned in the same breath as Heath Ledger's Joker and Rutger Hauer's Roy Batty from Blade Runner. He really is that good. While the tone of the film is slightly inconsistent and the subtitles may grate on some people, even though I think that they're brilliant and needed, quite frankly, despite all the minor niggles with this film, I think it's just kind of one of Tarantino's flawed masterpieces, because it really is brilliant, and I highly recommend it to anyone. If I had to give it a rating, I'd give it 4 stars, and like I said, I'm sure that upon repeat viewings you're going to get much more out of this film, as it is very layered. So yeah, 4 stars from me, and I highly recommend you go see it because it is good. And I really hope you've enjoyed this review and found it quite informative. So this is CivilianSnowman signing out. I'll see you later. Bye.